Hello, this is Tim again here with another video. For the first off, I'm sorry about that glare in the background. That's the background lot. But yeah, I'm here to do a review for the new Marvel film Eternals, which I have just now watched, which I know has been out once again for a little while, similar to Ghostbusters Afterlife, which I also just now watched. But I've reviewed all the other Marvel films, so I figured, what the hell, keep it going. Let's review this one. I'm also a Marvel fan, so why not? I've even reviewed the TV shows. But yeah, as far as Eternals goes, for anybody that doesn't know, I rate my movies from 1 to 4 stars. Of course, 4 being great to masterpiece. This one, I'll go ahead and give my rating. I would give it a low 2. I found it a low 2-star passable film. Now, I know this film got like mixed to negative reviews, I believe, from critics, and has like a rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes, which I don't care about Rotten Tomatoes or any of that. If I like a movie, I like a movie. I don't care. I even enjoyed the other Arnold Terminator films after Terminator 2, just as like Arnold blockbusters, and critics didn't really like most of those, but I still like them as just Arnold flicks, so to me. But I'll be honest whether I like the film or not. As far as it goes, I didn't really like this film. It's a one-off watch for me. I would never watch it again unless I was having like a Marvel MCU marathon, or I was showing it to like a friend who was also into the Marvel films who hadn't seen it yet. Yeah, the Eternals is pretty much about this super group of people created by the Celestials, who are like pretty much the gods of the universe, who create the universe in the Marvel world, at least in the film universe. And there was actually Kurt Russell was a Celestial, I believe, back in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which makes Peter Quill like half Celestial in that film. And here we got them here. The Eternals are pretty much created. They think to guide humanity and help humanity, but really they're there just to like keep humanity going until eventually it's time to like blow up the planet and use the energy from it to create a whole new solar system, and it like somehow births new Celestials or something like that. It's some kind of gobbledygook like that for the plot. But the Eternals have done this thousands of times, and they get their memories erased. Eventually, they realize what's going on, and they got to take out the Celestial. Or pretty much, it's like it goes with a lot of like biblical mythology of like the whole angel things and like their God. Like, should they betray him or should they just trust in what he wants to do or whatever? All that. Um, Pretty interesting, deep themes they're playing with here in this movie. They do a okay job with it, pretty much. This film is also really dull. It's really dark and serious, which I don't have a problem with. I'm a DC fan. I'm a bigger DC fan than Marvel, and I really enjoy like DC's really dark and serious vibe. The DC's like pretty good at that for the most part. I mean, they mess up every now and then, but they're pretty good at that for the most part. Marvel hasn't really tried that, and this film does not have a lot of jokes. Some of the jokes it has are kind of funny, but they're few and far between. Um, this film is mostly extremely serious. Felt a lot more like a DC flick. Um, Pretty much you got the leader of the Eternals, or not so much the leader, but you got like this Asian girl or whatever who's going to be the one to save it or try to defeat the Celestial. And there's this other dude who's got like all the abilities pretty much of Superman. He pretty much shoots X-ray heat vision. I mean, not X-ray vision, but heat vision. And I saw it coming, but at the end you realize that he's pretty much a traitor of the group and wants to side with the Celestial because he's in a love triangle with the girl, the main Asian girl or whatever, and this other normal human dude supposedly that she's in love with. And there's this other one named Sprite or whatever who's kind of like Tinkerbell, which they call out in the movie, which I thought was funny, who's actually in love with the Superman dude and teams up with him at the end, only to after he's defeated, only till after the Celestial's defeated, to go back to the group and they just let her back in, which I understood. For a while, I was wondering if it was a boy or a girl because they have a very like androgynous look, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, I was just wondering. I really didn't know, but I believe it's a girl. Yeah, it's a girl, but yeah. Okay, the main like Superman dude or whatever. By the end, he's like gonna take out the Celestial thing or whatever. No, he's not gonna take out the Celestial thing. He's trying to stop the Eternals, and he gets in a fight with them. There's all those creatures called Deviants or whatever that the Celestial also created to like keep mankind in check, and they went crazy. And pretty much it's got the Eternals wiping him out. And then once they kill a couple of Eternals, they start becoming like sentient, and they're able to think on their own. They realize what's going on. But wouldn't they then team up with the Eternals to take out the Celestial thing? Because it's been basically using them the entire time. I mean, maybe that's something saved for a sequel at some point where they eventually join forces. I thought that's where this movie was headed, because they pretty much have a common enemy, but it really doesn't go that way. Uh, but I mean, I can still understand them hating the Eternals because they did kill a bunch of them, but at the same time, though, they're not really evil. The deviant things aren't. They were just used like puppets, just like the Eternals. Um, but yeah, there's like this main one who gets like superpowers or whatever, or more intelligent or whatever, because he kills one of the Eternals, like this random other Asian dude or whatever who's going out with, or seems to be going out with Angelina Jolie, but I don't think they ever share a kiss in the movie. Angelina Jolie's part is like really small, but it increases towards like the way halfway through the movie towards the climax. She gets a lot more to do, and she has some pretty cool fight scenes. Ultimately, I liked her. Um, a lot of the cast does not get a lot of development here and a lot to do. This movie also felt really overlong, like it felt stretched out, like it could have been a TV series. And when I'm talking about like the dark tone and stuff like that, and the more somber type tone, like I said, DC is good at that. With Marvel, though, I'm more used to the comedic side and all that, and the more fun of the movies. That's the thing with Marvel films. Even when they have flaws, they're still fun, so it makes up for a lot of those flaws. This movie's not really fun. It's not the worst Marvel film. The problem here is that while it's also not fun, it's also dull because you don't get a lot of interesting to do with the characters. Like with DC, they got Batman and Superman, so you're automatically interested, regardless of how dark or somber the tone is. Here, we don't know shit about the Eternals. It's the first time we've ever seen them. Ultimately, I felt like this would have been better as a TV series, like sparsed out, so you could have done more with each character and developed them. Like the whole thing about the Sprite one, like feeling bad because she's like trapped in a child's body forever, and that's another thing. Like, why would the Celestial create a Eternal who's like trapped in a child's body? It almost feels like it's just thrown in there for good drama, and then he like makes another one who's like deaf and has to use sign language all the time. That's kind of weird too. There's this one actor in this movie with like black hair or whatever who like can hypnotize people under mind control. I believe he's rumored to be like the Joker or something in the Robert Pattinson Batman movie. Uh, I don't see it here, but then again, I didn't see it with Heath Ledger, and he surprised me. So maybe this dude can do better under a bigger meteor part, if that's what he ends up actually being by the time by the time the Batman movie rolls out, he has like a cameo as the Joker or something, or gets set up for a sequel or whatever. But yeah, by the time it gets to the end, the Superman dude's like fighting the group or whatever, and he actually kills the Salma Hayek one. Salma Hayek had like nothing to do in this flick. Even Angelina Jolie didn't really until towards the halfway point. But when you get to the end, he's fighting them all. He decides at the end to like send his energy to her as well, to the main Asian chick or whatever in the green in the movie who's the hero, and everybody else does as well. And that gives her the power to like kill the Celestial, pretty much put it to sleep forever. Okay-ish like ending here, and but the main like Superman dude like killed like 2 people, and so you would I expect him to like self-sacrifice himself or something and kill the Celestial and take himself out. But at the end though, he just kind of punishes himself by flying off into the sun and hurtling into the sun and killing himself. Really kind of weird suicidal ending for this character. Like I get why he does it, and it is dark, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that the new Marvel phase has wanted to try like different things. Like with Shang-Chi, they were going for more like a mystical kung fu type movie and all that. With this one, they're going more for like a dramatic tragedy type thing, really self-serious, which is fine. It's just not that good at it, really, is part of the problem here. Then you get to the ending, and the movie ends on a cliffhanger. Like, there's really no ending here. Like, if I was counting this as like a one-off movie, because I know there's eventually going to be a sequel or some sort of continuation of this, um, then I would probably give it like a 0. But because I know it's going to be picked up again in a future Marvel story, I gave it a low 2 out of 4. Pretty much, you get to the main end, and the little like sprite girl or whatever is turned human, and so she gets to live out the rest of her life growing up finally, and getting married, falling in love, having kids, whatever. One other thing I will say, Brian Tyler Henry, I think is the actor's name, the black guy in this movie who like can create stuff. He's one of the Eternals who's able to create stuff. Um, it helps the humans like build and stuff. His character is gay, which they don't make a big deal out of it. He's just an ordinary character that just happens to be gay. Like they don't even say anything about it or nothing. He just happens to have a boyfriend once he like gets to live in the human world and all that. And he has kids. I appreciate that they didn't turn into like some kind of political push or something stupid like in your face. It was just natural. That's the way that it's properly done. Gay characters, trans characters, all that should just be treated as natural in terms of part of the story, and that's the way it should work. And other than that, get to the ending, and the chick is there with like her human boyfriend or whatever. And he's telling her he like has some kind of done some research on his family history or whatever, and it's kind of leaning towards a thing I think to where he's going to wind up being some important character that we need to know, who's maybe from the comics or something. I didn't look it up, so forgive me. I don't know who the hell he is. But after that, like a Celestial like shows up and pulls her like into space and has her in his hand along with like 2 or 3 other Eternals. And he's like, I will spare Earth. It's like another Celestial. He's like, I will spare Earth, but I will erase your memories and take you with me. He just like flies off with them, and then it's just over. It's like, okay, you didn't really need that like forced sequel ending or whatever. Maybe that could have worked as like a bonus scene, but I don't really think you needed that. That could have been saved for a sequel. But I guess they really wanted to set up for a sequel. I don't know. It just felt really thrown in. But yeah, all in all, 2 stars out of 4, low 2. I don't think this is the absolute worst Marvel film. I will say I do think this is worse than Captain Marvel, which I thought was just kind of okay. Despite it was kind of fun, a little fun. It was okay, despite Brie Larson's like wooden performance. And other like weaker Marvel films, like Ant-Man. I think Ant-Man is a good film as a kids flick. Ant-Man 2, I think is like Ant-Man 2, once again, I believe I thought it was also a good flick as a kids flick. like the other weaker Marvel films, like the other weakest one, or the weakest one, is Thor 2. I still think this is slightly better than Thor 2, just because it's got more on the plate and is more interesting in the writing department, and isn't as filled with comedy and such a stupid villain as the Dark Elf. Yes, the Celestial thing here doesn't really do anything, but at least he's not so in your face and dumb like the Dark Elf. All in all, I still think that one's worse than this. I still think that's pretty much the bottom of the barrel for the MCU. But all in all, I would say this is a close number 2. I would not watch this again except for the Marvel Marathon, or maybe if I want to refresh myself whenever the sequel comes out. But yeah, all in all, that's my review for Eternals. This is just kind of a passable one-off. Would I recommend it to average movie fans? No. Would I recommend it to comic book movie fans? No, because there's much better comic book movies out there. Would I recommend it to MCU fans? Yes. I'll probably give it a weak recommend. If you've seen all the other MCU films, watch this one. Why not, if you've seen all the rest? So yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on Eternals. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again.